Good morning, everyone. Welcome to NTU Open House 2021. Thank you for joining us this morning to learn more about NTU-USP and what this program has to offer. I'm Jia, a linguistics and multilingual studies student in my final year, and I'm excited to take you through today's live session. Today, we have with us 4 professors from NTU-USP. They are Professor Mei Loon, Director of NTU-USP. Associate Professor Jasmine Yeoh, Deputy Director, NTU-USP. Assistant Professor Justin Clark, Core Faculty Member, NTU-USP. Dr. Rebecca Nichols, Core Faculty Member, NTU-USP. They will be telling you more about NTU-USP, what you as a student can look forward to, as well as answer any questions you may have about our program. You may drop any questions you have at any time via the Slido link. Please head on to slido.com and enter the event code you should be seeing on the screen right now. The event code is #V396. But first, let us watch a video of our faculty taking you through what NTU-USP is all about. Take notes if you must, and we'll see you right after the video.
Hello, I'm Professor Mei, and I'm the director of the NTU-USP, and I'd like to give you a very quick overview of the program. Let's start off by first looking at where we belong in this very big university of NTU. We are one of the 4 Premier Scholars programs, along with our sister programs like the Renaissance Engineering Program, the CN Young Program, and of course the Teacher Scholars Program. So we have an office together with these programs, and we welcome students into the Premier Scholars universe. So looking at NTU-USP specifically, what is it about our program that makes it unique? It is an interdisciplinary program that is really grounded in creating better citizens for the future. And there is a huge component on global citizenry, learning about interdisciplinarity, and also understanding the characteristics and values that's going to place our students into better positions as citizens of society tomorrow. What I'd like to do now is to share with you a little bit about why you should consider NTU-USP as part of your undergraduate experience. And then my colleagues, Professor Justin Clark and Becky Nichols, will be taking you through some of the NTU-USP experiences. And then I'll come back and share with you a little bit about our scholarship. So let's take a look at our pedagogy, or the program of learning. As you know, when you come into NTU, you go into a particular school and indeed a direct major in a particular school. So for instance, you might be coming into the Wee Kim Wee School of Communication and Information and majoring in communication from day one. So in the same vein, you would also join the NTU-USP. So imagine that you have your legs in both places, both NTU-USP and the Wee Kim Wee School, and then you continue your journey for all the 4 years as a member of the school and as a family member of the NTU-USP. And you can do this whether you are in any of the colleges that's shown here, which includes the College of Engineering, the College of Science, as well as the Business School. So you could be an accountancy student and be an NTU-USPian, aeronautical engineering student, NTU-USPian, and so on. So you might also have heard that NTU is going to be introducing the ICC, which is the interdisciplinary curriculum that's going to ground students in many broad areas, which includes the environment, looking at future challenges like artificial intelligence, and being conversant on digital literacy and well-being. So these are all the components that is also very important to NTU-USP. So what would happen is that every single student who comes into NTU is supposed to be well-grounded in these broad areas that I have mentioned. and you would be able to get much of that experience in NTU-USP itself in our curriculum. Our curriculum essentially consists of 4 core courses and then 2 or 4 additional or elective courses that you can take at any time in the 4 years. And so what would happen is that many of these interdisciplinary components will be covered in the core modules that you would take with the NTU-USP. So NTU-USP's core courses on ethics, on writing and reasoning, as well as the fieldwork and documentation, which will be covering a lot of the environment and sustainable issues. And a course on well-being will cover these types of interdisciplinary approaches and coverages that all students in NTU are expected to take. Looking more specifically at the experiences that you would get in NTU-USP, you could liken it to like a cake. So the cake on the right side, which shows a student, for instance, coming into an area like psychology, shows the stackable or the different components that goes into making the undergraduate experience. On the left side, what we have shown is that by joining the NTU-USP, you do not take any more courses. In fact, what we have done is to replace some of the components that you would take at a much bigger level and across disciplines, to take these courses in small classrooms, in interactive formats with NTU-USP, and then to provide you all the additional opportunities which you see on the icing and the cherries and the blueberries and so on. Those are the components of leadership, of global citizenry that we've woven into the 4 years, and you're going to see a lot of that in the examples that Prof. Justin and Becky Nichols are going to be sharing with you. So you'll see that all these experiences are woven into the educational experiences that is NTU-USP.
Hi, my name is Justin Clark, and I'm an assistant professor with the History Program and the University Scholars Program at NTU. And I'm here to share with you some of the exciting global opportunities that NTU University Scholars Program offers its students. So one of our goals is to produce reflective and proactive global citizens. So in order to do that, we try to give our students some sort of overseas exposure at every stage of their study. During the first year, there is a course called Fieldwork and Documentation. It's also known as the Travel Overseas Program for Scholars. What happens is that all the first-year students, typically between the first and second semesters, will go abroad for a week to a regional destination. In the past, these have included places like Luang Prabang in Laos, Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, Chiang Mai in Thailand, Perth in Australia, to Taiwan, and a few other locations. And what students do there is they pursue some sort of fieldwork question. So they may be asking youth in that country what sort of musical tastes they have. They might be researching a particular industry. And so these are skills that not only teach them, or these are experiences that teach students not only what the experience of locals is, but they're also skills that can be brought back and applied to the future careers that our students will pursue. In this last year, because of the pandemic, we've had to make a few adjustments. So rather than having the Travel Overseas Program for Scholars, we call it the Travel Overseas Program for Scholars. And what we're doing is we're investigating maritime Singapore, for instance, by visiting some of the southern islands, getting to know some people from the southern island communities, learning about maritime industries and so forth, and trying to look at Singapore through fresh eyes. So in the time of pandemic, we've managed to improvise and provide a very interesting experience. In the second year, students have a chance to go for study abroad, or to attend an exchange program, or to participate in a leadership symposium. The leadership symposiums in the past have taken place in Malaysia, where students will meet with other students from across the region. They've also participated in a symposium called STEP, which is funded by the Temasek Foundation. It happens right here in Singapore, but it brings students from across Asia, top students, to come and discuss global issues such as climate change and inequality. And the idea is that in a few years' time, our students are going to be leaders themselves, and they're having a chance to interface and act on the global stage with some of these other top students. In terms of the study abroad program, study abroad is an excellent opportunity for USP scholars because we partner with 7 really excellent institutions. These include the King's College London, the University of Edinburgh, 2 universities in Australia, the Australian National University and the University of Melbourne, the University of Pennsylvania, and Bryn Mawr College in the United States. And study abroad is fully or close to fully funded by USP. All of the institutions that we partner with are excellent institutions, and students do not have a problem getting a slot at one of those institutions, which sometimes happens with exchange programs. In addition to that, U.S. University Scholars Program students can participate in an overseas exchange. This is with 350 other institutions, and one of the privileges of being a scholar is that one is allowed to jump to the head of the queue, and so if you want to attend a particularly attractive institution, it's very helpful to be at the beginning of the queue and know that you're likely to have a slot. Finally, in year 3, we have global electives to offer our students. In the past, for example, students have gone to Chiang Mai, Thailand to study astronomy. They have gone to Venice, Italy to study the Maritime Silk Road. So our idea is that students should not just have this one-off study abroad experience, but that really every year of the program they should have some chance to either go abroad or be in the presence of a lot of international students where they can exchange ideas and continue to develop themselves into global citizens.
Hello, my name is Dr. Rebecca Nichols, and I'm a lecturer in the psychology program, but I'm also a full-time faculty member with the NTU-USP. It's my pleasure today to talk to you about the very vibrant community that we have in the NTU-USP. So how do we develop that sense of community? Well, partly we make sure that we engage with you in professional development that extends beyond the coursework that you would have in the NTU-USP or in your own individual disciplines while you're at NTU. For example, this includes efforts to develop you as a leader, and not just leaders in perhaps the typical senses we might think, but also we incorporate different aspects or different ways of construing leadership so that you have broad exposure and development across your 3 or 4 years at NTU. We're also interested very strongly in promoting proactive global citizenship. We recognize that it is a crazy, complex world out there, and we hope to give you much exposure to that crazy world out there by the time you leave NTU so that you're better equipped to deal with it and to contribute really as global citizens. We also promote the development of soft skills, just as important as what you will learn in your disciplines or what you will learn technically through your coursework. We understand that to be competitive on the job market, again, by the time you leave NTU, really you should be developing those soft skills, and so you will have a lot of practice in developing your communication skills, for example, both written and oral, but also in things like working in teams, which is very important for your professional development. And then we also recognize that you are individuals and you come into the program with your own unique talents. We are here to help you develop those talents in our community where you get a lot of support from your fellow NTU-USP students, but also from faculty and staff as well. So it's a really thriving and engaging place to be. Next, we will talk a little bit about the NTU-USP Student Club, which is really the pride and joy of our NTU-USP program. This is a club that is very, very active and entirely student-led, again with support from faculty and staff. The club is there really to enhance your student experience while at NTU. Again, you'll have lots of opportunities to participate in events that are organized by the NTU-USP Student Club, but also participate participate as a leader, help the club to organize outings, different types of events, everything from just kind of social, hang out, decompress, be with each other, spend time together types of events, to different types of events that are in our various portfolios. So you can see here we have academic and general affairs portfolio, an arts cultural and social affairs portfolio. So if you're interested in organizing outings to different types of arts and cultural events, that might be up your alley. We're also proud now to have a very strong alumni network. Our alumni are always part of the NTU-USP family, and they're quite keen to come back, to network with you, to tell you about their experience on the job market, even to tell you about opportunities that might be available at their organizations for which they work now. So we're really proud of our alumni and so thrilled that they come back. We also have a publicity and public relations portfolio if you are interested in promoting the NTU-USP, perhaps at your previous junior college or polytechnic, or just generally out in the community. We also have a social services portfolio that is very keen and very active in programming, developing, and setting up events to benefit the wider community. We as NTU-USPians are quite keen to give back to the NTU community, but also larger Singaporean community at large. So if that's something that interests you, you could join the social services portfolio. Again, very, very active student life, very warm and welcoming NTU-USP community have. And again, if this sounds like something that interests you, we look forward to welcoming you into our community as well.
Thank you very much, Becky, for that sharing. And I'd like to now take you through the NTU-USP scholarship. The NTU-USP scholarship is really one of the most attractive scholarships you can get as an undergraduate in Singapore. It's unique because it has the components that I call are foundational or very basic in structuring the scholarship. And then it has the added on elements that allow you to be flexible and do many of the activities that lead to leadership and global citizenry. On the right side are what I would call those foundational elements. And these include your tuition fee, your coverage of the residential stay, your allowances for equipment like computers, and other types of allowances for local and international educational experiences, right? So that's just the starting blocks, the base. Over the years, as an NTU-USP student, you are going to have opportunities to join programs like the Study Abroad program that Prof. Justin has shared with you. Fieldwork and documentation, which is the TOPS program that every student gets a chance to go in the first year. These are additional programs that are on top of the basic components that are hugely subsidized by the NTU-USP. And really, our students, have not had to come up out of pocket much, but they have the opportunity to take part in and enjoy these experiences as an NTU-USP student. And this has really enabled that, the vision of global citizenry and leadership that we've mentioned right at the beginning. So we look forward to interacting with you. And if you have any questions at all, whether it's on the scholarship or any of the components that we've presented, please feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much for joining us.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you found the video informative and useful. We will now be taking questions from the floor. Once again, please head to slido.com and enter the event code #V396. You may direct your question to a specific professor or all of them. Right, looks like our first question is in, and it's a tough one. To our professors, how does NTU-USP compare to NUS-USP?
Maybe I will start, by saying that
The University Scholars programs, across many universities are all very strong programs that's really meant to stretch, the top students and to provide opportunities, right, to go beyond, basic learning that happens in a university education. The NTU-USP program is particularly unique in its structure and the way that it works with the NTU curriculum itself. So NTU undergraduate education in the Singapore landscape is unique because it is a program where you come in straight into a particular major. So you would come into economics or psychology or the communication school or one of the engineering schools, etc., just straight off. So from day one, you are a student who is going to be majoring and being embedded in that particular school. So the NTU-USP is particularly designed to work together with each of the schools so that you've got an NTU-USP experience, what I've shared earlier about kind of having your two legs, one in each place. So we have students right from day one who are in humanities, who are in social sciences, who are in the sciences, who are in communication and so on. And these students are also part of the NTU-USP family. So you've got that kind of interdisciplinary a community that starts from day one. In some of the other universities, you may not undertake your major until, for instance, the third year, and you might choose your major in the second year. So a lot of the scholars program experiences could be loaded in the first year, for instance, in kind of a very generic manner and not having students from these different areas. So that's one of the key differences, and I'd like to open to the panel to see if you've noticed other differences as well.
Sure,
Yeah.
maybe I'll jump in really quickly. Excuse me. So in the NTU-USP, we have a relatively small cohort. We take in about 50 or so per year, plus or minus, depending on the year. The NUS-USP has a much bigger cohort size, which they're also a residential program. I think there are, again, pluses and minuses to each of these things. We would never disparage our sister program over at NUS, but we are a much smaller program, and that also helps contribute to the sense of community and family feel that we have in the program as well. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I would add just one more important thing, which is that the NTU-USP is a scholarship, whereas the NUS-USP is not. So I think that will be foremost in a lot of parents' minds. And again, as Prof. May has said, it's one of the most attractive undergraduate scholarships available in Singapore.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. Some of them are curious about how do you apply for the NTU-USP program?
Yeah, it's the application is really easy in the sense that when you apply to any of the programs in NTU, there is a little box that's right at the end of the your application that asks if you're interested in any of the scholars programs. So remember, right at the beginning, I've talked about the different scholars programs. So you've got Renaissance Engineering, CN Young program, and so on. So make sure that you look for the box that says I'm interested in the NTU University Scholars Program, and just tick that. And that would be, double up as the application. So a simple tick in your application would do.
Okay, a follow-up question would be, what is the interview process like for the NTU-USP scholarship?
Actually, maybe I'll take this one first. The interview process is actually quite fun and engaging, and we don't want it to be something that for you feels very stressful. It's really an opportunity for you to get to know us, for us to get to know you. I think just like for any program, we would, want to make sure that in the end you are not only a good fit for us, but that we also are a good fit for you. So it's an opportunity for us to explore your interests, to explore what about the NTU-USP excites you, why you think it might be a great program for you, and we hope that you find it an enjoyable experience at the end.
Yeah. If I can just add that, we have a very holistic admissions evaluation process. So don't expect one singular type of activity when you are called up for an interview. It could be an interview that is a one-on-one. It could be a casual conversation and a chat that happens outside the school, or sometimes it could be even a group activity. So we use kind of different modes of getting to know you. And I think, like Becky said, just relax and come and talk to us and just share us about yourself and your experiences. We really just want to get to know you better.
I can definitely attest to that. I had my interview at a Starbucks, I think, if I don't remember wrongly. Yeah, okay, so we now have a few questions from students asking if they apply for external scholarships, would they still be able to join the NTU-USP?
Yep.
Yes,
I'll take that
Amy,
question.
yes.
Yeah, definitely. But you have to let us know when you apply for NTU-USP that you have the intention to actually applying for external scholarship.
Yes, yes. And if I could just add to that too, within the NTU-USP community, we do have scholars who come from with different types of scholarships. So this could be a PSC scholarship, it could be a MINDEF scholarship, it could be a scholarship from the SIA group, for instance, right? And so you just let us know and you come in. Of course, you don't have a chance to double dip and get both scholarships, but what we would do is that we work with your scholarship, and there are opportunities, when we talk about fieldwork and documentation and study abroad, these may not be part of your monetary scholarship, because most of those scholarships are just monetary in nature, right? But then you get these NTU-USP experiences. What we find with many of the scholars is that, a scholarship is just kind of support for a certain monetary amount, but they want to come into a university community. They want to have the experience of being with other scholars and be stretched, in terms of the educational experiences, being able to be part of the, our leadership workshops and opportunities, as well as, all these global experiences that we offer. So it's really a good fit. So if you are thinking of applying for any other types of scholarship, please think about us and, apply to us as well. We really welcome, everybody who is interested in the program.
All right, following up on that question, what qualities and qualifications are you looking for in an NTU-USP scholar?
I could take this one. So we are looking for a number of things. We're looking for students who have a genuine interest in the type of program that we offer. So if you're someone who has very narrow interests, you're not really interested in taking courses outside of your particular major, USP would probably not be the best place. But we find that most of the students who do apply to USP are genuinely interested in having a broader education. I would say also that if you're someone who wants to remain, I guess, somewhat invisible during your university career, if you'd prefer to not interact as much with faculty and with your peers, then USP would not be a good fit. Because one of the things that we offer is classes with very small numbers of students, so usually 15 to 20 students. And the idea there is that you have a lot of chance to interact with faculty and with your peers. You're not in a lecture hall with 100 or 200 other students, which is a common experience at a large research university. So, one of the things that we're looking for is students who genuinely, they may not be extroverts, they can be, introverts. I think plenty of our students would call themselves introverts, but they're students who nevertheless would benefit from being around being within these smaller classes, and who are ready to kind of challenge themselves to speak up in class and express their views. So I would say there's the interest in the holistic experience. It's not just the interdisciplinary academics, but also participation in the student club. So students who, again, they may be introverts, they may not have had a lot of chance to act in a leadership capacity, but who are open to that possibility. So they may become involved in various different ways in the student club. They may not decide to become president, so to speak, but they want to participate. And also, of course, students who want to have that global exposure. And that's not for everyone. So some students may feel they will not gain a lot from traveling outside of Singapore, or engaging with students from other universities in the region. But our students generally have that a genuine interest in other cultures, in maybe becoming global citizens, and so that's something else that we're looking for. So really, we part of the interview process is to make sure that students genuinely want those aspects of their education, that they're not just looking for the prestige of saying I'm a university scholar, but they really are interested in that kind of education.
Right, thank you for that very comprehensive answer, Prof. Justin. We will now be moving on to a few questions regarding the NTU-USP scholarship. Are all NTU-USP students under a scholarship?
Well, we have a structure where every single student who comes into NTU-USP receives some kind of a scholarship. Now, the majority, a very, very large majority, as I mentioned to you, we are open to other types of scholarships, other scholars who want to join us. But the majority of students are under the NTU-USP scholarship, which is the component that I had explained right at the end. Yeah. So it kind of ties to the previous answer. But if you have other types of scholarships, including overseas scholarships, because we've had students who have scholarships from overseas foundations, we also open, our doors to these scholars from with scholarships from outside of Singapore as well. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We have another question between what is the difference between NTU-USP and the Nanyang Scholarship?
Okay. Okay, so the Nanyang Scholarship is a very prestigious scholarship that's offered by by NTU, and that is what I mentioned to be the foundational scholarship that offers support, monetary support for those components like tuition fee, the residential accommodation and allowances. So that's packaged together in a monetary manner in a scholarship. But the NTU-USP scholarship builds on top of that. So you get these foundational components of the Nanyang scholarship, and then you have all the other buckets that give you the opportunities to take, to have classroom experiences, to have overseas experiences, to have the residential learning experiences, to be part of the wider community that is a scholars program. And that's how you can kind of see, so that Nanyang scholarship is just a monetary amount that's given to students who are well deserving, and then the NTU-USP has an entire program that goes beyond that and provides opportunities for a greater participation and growth as a scholar. Yeah, if you'd like to add to that, yeah, because that's the common question that comes up. They see that these all have the words scholars award or scholarship and so on, and there's a bit of confusion.
Yeah, maybe I can just add to this that this actually ties into just what Justin was mentioning as well, which is that you're probably getting the sense now that we're really not just a scholarship, but we are a scholars program. So a lot of that icing on the cake, as we like to call it, that May just mentioned, actually contributes to that sense of you really sticking with us and participating with us and taking up these opportunities because they're a good fit for you over the course of your either 3 or 4 years at university. And I think also now is a good time to mention that our NTU-USP scholarship does not come with a bond. So there's no bond attached to our scholarship as well.
Yeah. And and if you kind of think about all these opportunities, we can't really put it in an exact monetary amount. But for instance, like fieldwork and documentation, right? When we bring our entire cohort, for instance, last year was a trip to Luang Prabang. It was a 6-day stay with the air travel and all that. We really don't charge the students at all. So as a student in the program, you have this opportunity where everything is covered for you, and it's just one of the many different types of opportunities that you have, where if you were received just the Nanyang scholarship, you would not have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I could just add that there are other ways in which the program is generous, not just through the scholarship. TOPS is one of them, but another is a student club. So we generously fund the student club, and we allow students to take that money and come up with imaginative uses for it. So, for example, hosting ministers of parliament, putting on theatrical productions, organizing various service initiatives. I mean, all these things have sort of hidden costs, and so the USP Student Club, you know, there is a kind of financial generosity there that isn't part of the scholarship itself, but is something that really contributes to students' experience.
Great, thank you for the answers. Another question we have is, what is the difference between NTU-USP and the CN Young Scholarship?
Okay. If you remember, right at the beginning, I shared about the 4 different scholars programs. So that's quite unique to NTU. So NTU, there are 4 programs, and NTU-USP is one of the 4 programs. The other ones being Renaissance Engineering, the CN Young program, and the Teacher Scholars program at NIE. So the other 3 programs are our sister programs, and you know, we have a lot of interaction with them, like, you know, joint sports day, and I think we have a lounge where the students can meet together, and various types of activities. But each of these is a smaller program than some other universities where there might be one big scholars program, right? But each of these is really meant to cater to different types of scholars. So if you are interested in the CN Young program, the CN Young program is really designed to give you a lot more depth in the scientific areas. So let's say you are a student in biological sciences, and you want to do a lot more lab work, you want to go for your PhD, and you want to start being really immersed in the, you know, in the research projects of the professors and so on. CN Young program is really designed to cater to that. It gives you a lot more depth, you do a lot more science, but it prepares you for a future, you know, in research or technology or the sciences that's going to be lab-based, and for careers in that. So it's very focused, prepares you very well, but it's a very kind of a niche type of a scholars program, very different from NTU-USP, which is a lot broader. It prepares you for global citizenry and to make you a lot more nimble and flexible to look for jobs even in areas that you may not have been trained for in your major. So that's very different in terms of our orientation. Yeah. Would you like to add anything? I think some of our faculty do teach, you know, CN Young program as well. Yeah. And you know, so we offer some electives to them and so on. And it's a great group. It's just that it's very different. Just like Renaissance Engineering is very different, Teacher Scholars program is very different. It's to train you if you're interested in becoming a teacher, you know, going back to teach with the MOE schools and so on. So each of the programs is very focused.
Just to tack on, this is excuse me, slightly off topic, but related to what May just mentioned, which is that we do have many students who, when they graduate from the program, go on into careers or industries or into jobs that perhaps they didn't anticipate they would go into when they started their university journeys. We don't think that that's a fluke at all. We know that that's a function of the breadth that they get in their training, their ability to, and interest really, to engage with complex ideas, to engage with problems and issues outside of their disciplines. So they're really quite prepared for the job market in a variety of domains by the time they graduate. We're really proud of them.
Yeah. I'd like to add on to that as well. As a NTU-USP program, right, actually in the industry, they are looking for T-shaped employee. So, you know, NTU-USP actually really provide that kind of experience. So that means you really do your core in depth. But then because of NTU-USP, you have that, you know, broaden and wider kind of experience that give you like different perspective. That, like what Peggy have said, you know, go into different industry and things like that.
That's right, that's right. Yeah, I like that analogy, the T-shaped person, you know. So we're kind of providing that good breadth of experiences that prepares students who are really well-grounded in their majors, because we provide a lot of depth in our schools. Yeah.
And if I could just add, I think this is a very timely sort of education, because if you look at what a lot of the discourse is among politicians and policymakers, you know, there is a sense of uncertainty about what sorts of jobs will exist in the future. And so it could be that, you know, jobs within, let's say, a particular field of engineering or science, you know, become much more competitive as a result of things like artificial intelligence and so forth. So we sort of think of USP as a kind of education that can, again, help you be nimble, help you adapt, and that is probably a more important skill than it ever has been.
While we're on the topic of jobs, someone asked, how does NTU-USP help with job opportunities in the current and future COVID-19 climate?
Okay. Yes, so I guess it relates to that particular question, right? Because, oftentimes students who are in a particular school, really, working to start their careers in particular industries, may find in the current times that, the industry that I was thinking of working in is suddenly not hiring, or that, things are not moving as expected, and particular areas of the economy are not doing well, and they want to try to look broader at other places and other opportunities as well. And NTU-USP really prepares students well to go beyond whatever areas that they may be well trained for. In fact, when we look at our past graduates, I would say that about 40% of our students, NTU-USP students, have kind of moved into areas that they were not, particularly studying for. For instance, we have had students in aeronautical engineering, right, who've gone on to join places like, think tanks like EDB, or into government ministries. We've had students who are from accountancy who have gone on to startups, and I think a lot more. Yeah, can you think of a few other industries that we've managed to cross-pollinate? You know a lot of the alumni.
I can think of one student who I believe she was from biological sciences and went on to work for marketing with I believe Chope in the end. We also have had students who have maybe again gone into a specific discipline like engineering or physical or life sciences, only to then go on to further study, let's say, a master's degree in public policy. We have at least one student in London who I'm thinking of who is doing that now. So again, that's not to say that you may have a clear idea of what you want to do when you graduate, and certainly the depth that you would receive at NTU would prepare you for that kind of job, but the doors open when you come into NTU, and especially into the NTU-USP.
Yeah.
And I could just add that we're very proud because one of our students was the first recipient of the Rhodes Scholarship that Singapore, or I think anyone in the region, had received in 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
This is probably the most prestigious scholarship that an undergraduate can receive.
Yeah, we can show that slide. I think we've got a slide on that. Edward E.
If you look at the resumes of a lot of world leaders, you'll find that the Rhodes Scholarship is a part of it.
Yes. Yeah. And this is something that we take very seriously as well, the types of opportunities that our students will get while they are with us, to prepare them, for the kind of wider schema of opportunities. So the NTU-USP Club has organizes, a lot of career-related activities, which we can probably, even share. If you actually kind of go online and you look at our the club and the activities, you would see that we have things that range from talks to mentorships to, workshops and so on. That works together with our careers office, which is already preparing the students well for particular areas of training. And then at the same time, we have the NTU-USP's, activities that are meant to make our students a lot more marketable for broader job opportunities as well.
Yeah, talking about the recent STEP events,
yes,
and our scholar have become Temasek Foundation alumni, which
yes,
will provide them lots of jobs opportunities and things like that. Yeah,
yes,
especially during this time.
Yes.
A great question to follow that up with is, how will NTU-USP benefit students, in general, in jobs or like the curriculum and all that?
I think there are many different types of benefits, so maybe like we can talk about, different benefits, but probably the benefit that I'd like to cover that maybe we haven't talked a lot about is that sense of community, which is so inherent in our program. Like when you come and join us, you're part of the NTU-USP family. Becky has mentioned about how small we are. So altogether, we've got about 200 students, together with our core faculty. Core faculty are the faculty who are working full-time with NTU-USP, although they come from a lot of different disciplines. We have the faculty fellows, we have got the faculty mentors, and together it's not too small that there's that you feel like there's not enough going on, right? Because a lot of within this community of 200 plus students and about 50 faculty, there's a lot of things going on, over 30 different activities and a lot of experience and so on. But more importantly, we are a family, and we've got that sense of knowing each other by name, being able to recognize each other's faces. I think that both of us, we teach all of us, we teach every single student. So they've kind of gone through our classes, and kind of like rain or shine, we are there for you. Students often engage with us as they go through their life's journey, not just in the academic space, but also in their growth as individuals. We join the student different types of activities. I remember, we've got a group of students who are coffee connoisseurs, so they would organize different types of activities. We have a group of students who are interested in dance, and of course, Becky is somebody who likes to engage with the dancers. We have a faculty who is into yoga, somebody who does soccer with them, and of course chess. I remember your chess group and so on. So students coming into the NTU, the big NTU space, NTU with its 30-something thousand students, right, often can feel very lonely, and you can feel quite disjointed. Even our schools, they are pretty big when you come in. But with NTU-USP, you really are part of that small community, all kind of look out for each other, and we have a kind of very friendly and sociable atmosphere. Yeah, I wanted to mention that, but I'm sure you can think of other benefits.
Yeah, well, I think another benefit of being a small program is that we as faculty, we all know what our colleagues' courses are about. So in that sense, we're able to start conversations in one course and then build them through other courses. So for instance, Prof. Becky, she was teaching a course that was on error and bias and quantitative reasoning and these sort of topics. And these, have to do, I guess the course has to do with learning to be, for example, skeptical about things like statistics. I teach an elective on the history of truth, and the sort of concepts which Prof. Becky is able to introduce to students, I can use those, and we can actually get further in a class by knowing that students are already familiar with the concept. We also eliminate a lot of redundancy that way, which I think you'll find is it's a problem when you're at a large research university, and you have so many courses, so many instructors. Some of the material ends up being repeated. It's just a fact, and I think we're able to kind of create a more seamless curriculum as a result of being small.
Yeah, I think you see that the universities are moving toward a more interdisciplinary curriculum. I think Singapore, but also the larger world, is recognizing that the nature of the problems that we have to confront requires a lot of collaboration with each other from different disciplines with different knowledge sets and skills. We actually have been doing this the whole time. So this has been our philosophy and ethos for a very long time. And so we are quite pleased and excited to see that the larger universities are following suit. But we have been working to make sure that we excel in our vision of what the program is and will be for a long time. So you'll have that benefit of us having good practice at it for a while. And again, I think that's not just us, the faculty that you see before you and other faculty, but also the similar vision that our students like Jia have as well. So it's a really thriving place to be. We're lucky to be here as faculty, and we hope that you would feel the same way coming in as well.
Sorry, Prof. Becky, I'm going to have to stop you here. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, we'll be ending the Q&A session right here. We hope that you found the session fruitful and feel better equipped now to make that all too important decision. But not to worry, if you still have questions, do head on over to our Telegram channel, where our faculty and students are on hand to answer any other questions you may have from today's session. If you're still interested in what else NTU-USP has to offer, we have an upcoming live session at 2 p.m. later, where our students will be sharing more about our vibrant student club and how that has allowed them to have a very fulfilling student life and numerous opportunities to grow. Join us then, and as always, we look forward to meeting with you. Thank you once again for joining us, and all the best.